Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Williams Wrestling Rewind here. I'm going to give you episode 4 of Retro Ringside Rewind today. And we got a lot of topics to get into. We got Raw, Smackdown, Dynamite, Show of the Week, Saturday night's main event, AEW Double or Nothing was a phenomenal show. I love that show. And people are saying that is the pay-per-view of the year, which you're going to get no argument out of me with that. A lot of other topics I'm going to cover in here. Edge, Adam Copeland. He says retirement is imminent this year. My Clash in Italy predictions. Mask versus mask match this Sunday between El Grande Americano Kaiser versus El Grande Americano Gable. I'm very looking forward to that match. New NWO, they were teasing for the COVID era of the pandemic, of the Thunderdome era. Comments about Jade and her WrestleMania moment and what she said about that. A new pay-per-view in July. Vince McMahon, WWE, and TK on deleted text messages. And this one was just broken today. Curtis Axel arrested for DUI. And possibly Santino Marella could be returning Sunday at Clash in Italy. So let's start getting into it. I'm going to dive into my thoughts of Saturday night's main event and AEW Double or Nothing. Let's start with Saturday night's main event. Saturday night's main event was a those shows could have been on SmackDown, Raw. If anybody wants to go back and watch Saturday night's main event, the best one match to do so is Penta versus Ethan Page. That was the best match of the night. And I enjoyed that. Was my favorite match. I enjoyed that. And that was pretty much it. We had the Street Profits and the Vision. Logan Paul tore his tricep middle of the match, and the Vision retained their titles for that. And Braun Breaker, he came out, he was just running halfway across the ring, and not Montez Ford, Dawkins, he just pounced Breaker just right over the announce table and just right on Michael Cole's chair. That was a spot of the night. And then you had your women's 6-man tag match with Jade and B-Fab and Michin. And then you had Rhea versus Rhea, Charlotte and Bliss. It was a match. Towards the end of the match, Rhea and Charlotte, they were working as a team, dominating B-Fab and Michin. They fall away, slam both of them, got up, throw the hearts. Yeah, we could work together. And then Alexa Bliss jumped in their arms, and everybody was happy, go luckily, smiley and everything. And then Jade came in, pushed both of them, all three of them, into each other. And that took out Charlotte and Bliss. Jade hit Jade on Rhea, and Jade won the match. Stupendous. And then it was Becky against Sol Ruca. This was the second match I was looking forward to, but I was very disappointed in this match because it lasted less than 2 minutes. Because Becky Lynch got disqualified. No shocker there. She pulled Jessica Carr in front of Sol Ruca before Sol tried to attempt to hit the Soul Snatcher and stopped at the same time. Excuse me. So that was interesting with that. But out of that match, we got Becky Lynch defending the women's U.S. women's Intercontinental title. Sorry about that. Against Sol Ruka this Saturday at Clash in Italy. That was the only thing that came out of that match. And then we had the most boringest match of the night. Brie Bella and Paige and Ashley. This was a match. What did I put that? Oh, yes. Here we go. When Paige got in, the crowd was chanting "Let's go, Paige," and then crowd was chanting "Yes," and then besides that, the crowd was dead. I put crowd is dead / make very little noise. Paige and Brie won, and that's all you have to know about that, because women's tag team wrestling sucks. Of between Smackdown and all that, the women's tag match in AEW. So Saturday night's main event, we took care of grading that a 4, and that's even being generous. Like I said before, if you want to go back and watch one match, Penta and Ethan Page was the best match. Penta hit a springboard Canadian destroyer on Ethan Page for the win, and he retained the title, and that was phenomenal. I enjoyed that. Let's go to AEW Double or Nothing. So Athena beat Mina Shirakawa to advance in the second round of the women's division Owen Hart Cup. Cage are the new AEW Tag Team Champions. It was a brutal match, but not too bad. There was barbed wire, chair, ladder, steps. Beth Phoenix came out. There was a table. They doused the table in lighter fluid. I was waiting just for Dax Harwood to just unscrew the cap and just douse the whole table in lighter fluid instead of just squirting it on there. Because they recreated the spot from WrestleMania 22 with Foley and Edge. But this time, it was Cash and Stokely Hathaway. Stokely Hathaway and Cash Wheeler got sent through the table. And that was an interesting spot. And then Beth Phoenix came out. She isolated Stokely, Dax, Cash, and then Christian had Dax in a submission, and Copeland had Dax in a crossface. And then Copeland told Beth to go get me Spike, and Beth kicked the stairs, and there was Spike. Spike is a not barbed wire, thinking of Foley there, a 2x4 with nails in it, and Copeland dug that into Dax's forehead, and like a little bitch, he said, "I quit." And your new AEW Tag Team Champions are Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. That was a very good match. And then the second match of the night was Okada versus Takeshita. And people are saying that Takeshita and Okada is match of the year so far. And I agree with them 100%. We're only halfway through the year, and we'll see what the rest of the half comes with. But so far, I agree with a lot of people who are saying that is definitely match of the year. That was a back and forth match. Okada, he went to hit the he hit a rainmaker on the apron of the ring to Takeshita. That looked very good. And then Takeshita wanted to pile drive Okada on the outside of the ring, but Don Callis got off commentary, and he was waving Takeshita off like, no, don't do that, don't do that. And then Takeshita obliged. He threw Okada back in the ring. He hit his finisher, and a couple moments later, Takeshita, he got the pinfall on Okada, and I thought Okada was going to retain because I thought they were going to get another match out of that, but you're going to get no complaints out of me for a Takeshita win. So Takeshita is the new AEW International Championship. And then Okada, he got back up to his feet. He looked at Takeshita. He threw his hands up. He's like, nope, I'm all good. I don't want no more. And Don Callis was in the ring with Mark Davis. And then we hear a returning theme song of Kyle Fletcher. I was a little shocked to see, excuse me. I was shocked to see a returning Kyle Fletcher. He made his way into down the ramp, into the ring. He addressed Takeshita. I thought him and Takeshita was going to form a team and beat up Okada, Mark Davis, and Don Callis a little bit, but that did not happen. Fletcher just lambasted Takeshita right in the nuts. And Okada and Davis picked him up. Fletcher picked up the title, and he cracked Takeshita right in the head with it. So come all in. There's your AEW International title picture right there. It'll be Takeshita versus the prototype Kyle Fletcher, and that's going to be a very, very good match. I'm looking forward to that. And then we had Athena beating Mina Shirakawa to advance for the second round. It was good, but not special. The first two matches were absolutely outstanding. And then we go to Will Ospreay versus Samoa Joe. Right out of the gate, Will Ospreay, he hit the hidden blade, and he thought that was it, but no. And then, Samoa Joe took him in the corner. He was raining blows down. And then Ospreay countered. He threw Joe down to the mat. Ospreay hit the 450 on Joe. He only got a barely 2 count. And then both of them were brawling on the outside. Joe locks in the Katia clutch on the outside. And then he just flung Will Ospreay right into the barricade. And then he threw Ospreay back in the ring. A couple jabs, a couple forearms. And then Joe, he was kicking Ospreay in the chest. He was chopping Ospreay in the chest. And then he was down. He was sitting up. He was pounding the mat. Basically, Ospreay was saying, "Give me more. I could take it." And then he went to kick him. Ospreay caught him. He hit another hidden blade. And then he got a 2, and then Ospreay, he got up from that, took his elbow pad off. He hit another hidden blade, and 1, 2, 3. Will Ospreay is your winner of the match and advancing to the second round. The next match is another advancement in the men's Owen Hart tournament bracket between Swerve Strickland and Bandito. And some people had Okada and Takeshita as their match of the night. I picked Swerve and Bandito for the match of the night. I really liked that one. That one stood out to me a lot. Just the ending segments. I'll get into that in a little bit. between Swerve and Bandito was very, very good. Start of the match, Swerve miss with the kick on Bandito. Bandito countered that. Uh, Bandito, he did this crazy headstand, like off the ropes into a DDT on Swerve, and then just Bandito just going back and forth with Swerve was crazy. The Bandito's in control on the outside, throwing Swerve into the barricade. And then both of them got back into the ring. Bandito, he was trying to hit the 21 plex, but Swerve was working on Bandito's shoulder and back of the neck. So he attempted and succeeded with the 21 plex, and he couldn't hold the suplex into a pin for Swerve. He had to relinquish the hold because his shoulder was too hurt. And then one of the highlights of the night or in the match was Bandito threw Swerve off the ropes. Swerve countered. He was standing on Bandito's shoulders for about 3 seconds. He hits the house call kick. As soon as he leaves Bandito's shoulders, he hits the house call kick, and I thought that was it, and that was just beautiful. And then Swerve went up to the top rope. He hit the Swerve stomp, but Bandito kicked out at 2. And then Bandito, he had tried to hit the 21 plex again, but Swerve wasn't having that. He countered. He hit the house call one more time and pinned him 1, 2, 3. And Swerve Strickland advances to the second round in the Owen Hart Cup tournament. I was so glad that Swerve hit the house call kick instead of another Swerve stomp, and glad to see and he could actually win with the house call kick. And that was the end of that one. Then we had Tekla versus Sheeta versus Jamie Hayter versus Statlander. Tekla went for a crossbody. It was caught by Jamie Hayter and Statlander, and then Sheeta was on the other turnbuckle to the right. Sheeta hit a drop kick, wiping everyone out. And then all of them rolled to the outside. Tekla climbed up on the turnbuckle. She tried for another crossbody. She wiped everybody out with the crossbody. And then she was working over Statlander and Hayter. She threw Statlander right into the stairs. And then Statlander got back into the ring moments later. She had Hayter in a submission, and then Sheeta came up behind her, and she blasted Statlander with the kendo stick. There's no disqualifications in a fatal 4-way, and that looked like that hurt. And then it was a jumping knee by Sheeta. Statlander takes out Sheeta and Hayter. Sheeta hits Statlander with a kendo stick. Tekla hits the stomp and retains the AEW Women's Champion. So that was very, very good. And then we had Team Jericho versus Team Ricochet. This match was absolutely crazy, and it was absolutely all over the place. Like I said on Stream Sunday, I give props to people, whoever trying to take notes during a match like this. It was 7-on-7. We had Jericho, the Elite, Sheldon Benjamin, Bobby Lashley versus Ricochet, Khan, and Tota Leona, Kirk Connors, David Finlay, Andrade El Igolo, and Mark Davis. So the match was just going all over the place. It was backstage, in the ring, up the ramp, in the parking lot, in catering. It was all over the place. Ricochet was getting beaten up in the corner by everyone. And he hits a suplex on Jack Perry. David hits a he hits this spot. He hits a airplane spin on Jack Perry, and then he was just launching chairs left and right. That and Tota Leona, he hit a triple Samoan drop that looked impressive, and you got to be super strong for that. Ricochet hits a running, standing top rope shooting star press on everybody to wipe everybody out. And then Kenny, he hits a suicide dive with the Young Bucks. And then Lashley dives outside to the ring, and Jericho jumps off the top rope, and he clears everybody out. So everybody has to get their jumps and their dives and their nice flips. And Jericho and the Young Bucks have the walls of Jericho and the sharpshooters locked in on Ricochet, Khan, and Leona. Lashley and Sheldon Benjamin, they were brawling backstage. Were Khan and Leona. And this poor guy, he was sitting on a stretcher, just relaxing there, just talking to a couple people backstage. And then Lashley, he just took the poor guy and he just flung him right off. And then Lashley was down, everybody was down, and then he's looking to the side, and then he has this like terrified look, like just out of the blue, and then the camera pans off to the right. We see Blackheart Leo Rush, and Lashley's like, well, I'm getting the hell out of here because I don't want no part of him. Blackheart Leo Rush is just absolutely crazy. He's like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. It's completely funny, but it's completely cool at the same time. They made their way back to catering, and then Satnam Singh, he was in catering, and then Andrade, he got shoved into Satnam Singh. He got up, there was food all over him, so he beat the crap out of him. And then there was this one scary part in the catering, because Jack Perry, he countered Mark Davis into a drop toe hold, and as soon as he countered the drop toe hold, Mark Davis, he was holding his face and he was holding his eye. He was freaking out. And then about 5 minutes later, we see Mark Davis have his quarter of his head wrapped up. And then he finds a note in this abandoned car. And then we hear a loud noise, and it's Jack Perry. And Jack Perry, he's on the Jurassic Express bus, and he just floors it, and he just crushes the car and the car behind that one. And Tony Khan, he's like, I think you killed Mark Davis. You better go check on him and everything. It's like, this must be Tony Schiavone's first rodeo for this. And then Jericho and Ricochet were backstage in this like half tennis court soccer field area. Ricochet was just beating Jericho with a tennis racket. And then Luther came out from the door. He handed Jericho this ginormous tennis racket, and he just started waylaying Ricochet with it. And then Jericho found a tennis ball machine, and he just started launching tennis balls right at Ricochet, right at him. And then all 14 men, they went back into the ring. And Jericho took a suplex on tennis balls. Ricochet took a suplex on tennis balls. And then Khan was out. Leona was out. Finlay was out. Connors was out. Andrade was out. So it left everybody from Team Jericho versus Ricochet. And Ricochet got finishers from almost everybody. He got a 7 combo super kick. And they were going to go for, Jericho was going to go for his move. But Leona shoved Ricochet to the outside. So he took the bullet for that. And Jericho pinned Leona. And the winners of the match was Team Jericho. That was chaotic as anything. And the reason why we saw no blood for this match and the men's tag team match with FTR and Copeland and Cage was up in New York. They have a law of certain areas that have this. They have a commission of they couldn't fight in the crowd or no blood in that area. So it's just like when AEW went to St. Louis last year. It was the same thing. The commission was like, if you're at this arena, no blood, no this, no that. So it's like, oh, okay. So that's interesting. And then the main event of the night was Darby Allin, MJF. As soon as the match started, three side headlock takedowns by Darby. Only got a 2. MJF said, hell with this. He ran to the outside of the ring. Darby just launched himself like he always does, like a madman, through the ropes, going about 900 miles an hour. He hit a suicide dive, but his heels clipped the top of the rope, and he fell straight on his shoulders, his neck, and it looked like the back of his head, but he tucked his head good enough, so it was just the back of his shoulders. I mean, we're not even 2 minutes into this match, and this man's already out there trying to kill himself. And then MJF took Darby. He threw him into the steps. He threw him back into the ring. He power bombed them. Backbreaker to Darby. And then Darby with the stunner from the second turnbuckle. And then MJF was down. He took MJF, he pulled him to the apron, so about a quarter of his body, so from about his chest up was on the apron, and MJF's head was hanging off the apron. So Darby gets this idea. He wants to hit a coffin drop. So if he attempted to hit this coffin drop, he probably would have broken MJF's neck. Luckily, MJF rolled out of the way, and Darby splattered once again. No surprise there. And then MJF, he picked up the step. He put them on the side because in AEW, all the steps they're just one piece. And he hit a package pile driver on the steps. I mean, Darby Allin is he's like a rubber band. I made this one comment on Instagram years ago when him and Sting were still teaming up in AEW. The running joke with that was that Darby was going to retire before Sting with all of his ridiculous spots and everything. And it's like, yeah, Darby's going to retire before the age of 35. Of how crazy this guy is. Darby hit this one. Darby, he was getting up again. Darby hit a low blow. He hit a low blow to MJF to a side headlock takeover for a 2. Darby had a Scorpion Deathlock locked in, and then he hit the coffin drop, but MJF got the knees up, so no second coffin drop. He counter. It was counter after counter. They must have counted each other's roll-ups about 20 times, and that's no exaggeration. So we had between a 1 and a 2 count for the longest time. I could have did out with about half of those. And then Darby hits the code red. MJF pulls the cameraman in front of Darby. Darby wipes him out, so bye-bye cameraman. They had to help the cameraman backstage. And then MJF and Darby, they were fighting up the stage. They had a clippers on the table. They shoved all that off and everything. And then Darby was choking out MJF, and he lays him right on the table. So what does Darby do when he lays MJF on the table? He looks up, because the whole stage was made out of structure and scaffolding and everything, just like how at New York at times. So what does Darby do? Well, I must climb this. I must ascend to the highest peak. So Darby climbs it, and he hits a coffin drop from about 20 feet up. Perfect coffin drop. And he hit MJF perfectly, and his head smacked on the stage. And not even 5 seconds later, you see the back of his head and his mohawk, all red. Just turned all red. So Darby bleeded the hard way. There was no blade job. There was no nothing. He was bleeding hard way. And then MJF got him in the ring. He was looking for Heat Seeker. Darby wasn't having it. So Darby went up to the top rope. And then he was looking for another coffin drop. MJF said, absolutely not. And MJF went to the second rope. He hit a avalanche tombstone. And he went over and he pinned him. 1, 2, 3. MJF is your new AEW World Heavyweight Champion for a third time in a row. And then they were putting Darby Allin on a stretcher, strapping him down and everything. And then MJF stood on the stretch and everything. His normal, I'm better than you, and you know it. And then Kevin Knight came out. He ran out. MJF, he ran away. He doesn't want no part of Kevin Knight. And then they were starting to wheel Darby a little past the steps and everything. Kevin Knight went on the turnbuckle. He hit the UFO splash, and that took out Darby again on the stretcher. It tipped over, and the commentator's like, why, Kevin Knight? Why did you do that? So Kevin Knight's a heel. It's the right thing to do. Like I said in the beginning, best pay-per-view of the year. These AEW pay-per-views they really hit home runs every time, grand slams, whatever you want to call it. There is not one bad AEW pay-per-view. You might have about a couple of matches that are or okay, but they're gonna hit home runs every time. And continuing for AEW. AEW has a new pay-per-view in July called Redemption that is on Sunday, July 26th, and that is in Canada. I will go back to Redemption a little bit later when I cover AEW Dynamite from last night. Let's talk about Raw. And then I can talk about that terrible episode of Smackdown. No surprise there. So this is this week's Monday Night Raw. Paul Heyman started Raw off. Heyman, he wants to hype up the best rematch in WWE history between Oba and Lesnar. It's just so hilarious when they say that the best rematch, the best wrestling match ever between Edge and Randy Orton. This is the greatest wrestling match ever. Let's not kid ourselves here. But WWE has to hype it up, even though they know it's completely bullshit. And then Brock Lesnar had a video package and everything of how he's retired and humble, and how he's gonna kick Obafemi's ass. So Obafemi comes out, and he was talking to Heyman. He said, Heyman says Oba has an ass kicking coming to him, and Oba says, Oba signs the contract on Paul Heyman, and then Oba says, he's like, I'm not going to hurt you because I need you at 100% with Brock, because I'm not only going to pin Brock, I'm going to kill Brock. So they could go two ways with this. You could have Brock win, and then you could get a rematch. You could get a rematch at Night of Champions or SummerSlam. Do I want to see a rematch at SummerSlam? I do not. I'd rather see it at Night of Champions. I'd rather see it at Night of Champions because I'd rather see Obafemi in the King of the Ring and challenging Roman Reigns at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight title. That's what I want to see. Some people want Brock Lesnar to win. I was thinking about Brock Lesnar winning, but I've heard this one gentleman say on his shows that they could do a Batista and Triple H theory, just like how they can with Oba and Brock. The Triple H and Batista theory is that at WrestleMania 21, it was Triple H versus Batista for the World Heavyweight Champion, and Batista won. And then they had a rematch in April at Backlash. Triple H versus Batista. Batista beat Triple H for the second time. And then Triple H said, one more shot for you. If not, I'm done challenging you. They fought the next month at May at Vengeance inside a Hell in a Cell, and Batista beat Triple H for the third and final time, and Triple H was winless against Batista. So if they want to, if they can put their thinking caps on for a little bit and do that, I hope they do, but I don't give this company any thought at all to do that, because they have zero creativity whatsoever. So that's how they started. And then Roman Reigns arrives like normal. He comes out of the SUV. He talks to Adam Pearce. Where's my world title? Adam Pearce has to get a jabroni runner with the title. He gives the title to Roman, and Roman's just too lazy to carry with the belt. That's the, again, it's fascinating to me of these people must have a young age of dementia, or they just are much, they're just so wrapped around the Roman Reigns, the OTC, the tribal chief garbage and puke and everything, that turn the clocks back to 2024 when it was Roman and The Rock cutting promos on Cody and Seth Rollins, when Seth Rollins was the world heavyweight champion. And then Roman was like, they had to make a secondary belt because I'm the guy, I'm the champ. That's the little brother belt. That's the belt that nobody cares about, that's irrelevant to me. Well, newsflash, I guess Roman has a bad case of CTE already. Newsflash, motherfucker. You're the world heavyweight champion. You're carrying the little brother belt. He must be embarrassed to carry that. So maybe Roman does win at Clash in Italy. So Jacob Fatu will have to serve Roman, and Roman doesn't have to worry about carrying the embarrassment title because Jacob Fatu can carry it for him like his bitch. So that's my case on that. We had match of the night because Triple H is like, oh shit, I don't want to get outdone by AEW, which really you are in every way possible. And don't even get me started on the tag teams, which I will hint at a little later on. Penta versus Javon Evans of the night. That was match of the night. Nothing even came remotely close to that. Not even Rollins and Montez Ford. Penta versus Javon Evans for the title. Javon's went for the OG cutter right away. Penta blocked it. Javon Evans just flew right off the top rope. He got all the height. He cleared the top rope like this man just jumps off. He clears the top rope. No problem. Javon tried a suicide dive, but Penta, he threw him right in the announce table. He landed this awkward way right on his back, and that had to hurt like hell. Michael Cole's like, he might have a broken back. Sure, Michael Cole. Let's go with that. Let's go with a broken back. And then Evans, he got back in control. Evans launched. He completely launched himself over the barricade, to take out Penta. He even hit. Then he got him back into the ring. He hit an OG cutter, only for a 2 count. Evans hits a cutter on the ring apron and Penta. Evans went for the OG cutter again. Penta countered it into a super kick. That was just the counter after counter with these guys was outstanding. Penta countered into a code breaker again, and then Penta hit the Canadian Destroyer to retain the Intercontinental Champion. Match of the night. Paul Heyman talks with Austin Theory backstage because Logan Paul tore his tricep. So Austin Theory is like, I got nobody now. What am I supposed to do with this? The World Tag Team Champions, that doesn't mean a hill of beans. Because they got no tag team division there. Joe Henry came. So I feel like WWE is squandering Joe Henry. He was never going to be the World Heavyweight Champion or WWE Champion multiple times or go on a yearly run with it. So they wanted Joe Henry in the worst way. They got him. His theme song is the highlight of everything this man does. And every week we come back from commercial, and this guy is in the ring just singing away. No theme song, no nothing. That's what they care about Joe Henry. I love to see it. Joe Henry was singing in the ring, fire Logan Paul, fire Logan Paul. Austin Theory shows up behind him. Chair shots. He threw Henry into the ring post, and then he smacked the chair right into the ring post. Didn't even get it. Wanted to look like he hit Henry in the head with the chair. And that was it. And then we cut to backstage with Dawkins and Seth talking backstage. And then Montez Ford rolls up, like, what are you doing? What are you doing with this guy? I told you. And then Rollins is like, hey, I kept my word. I didn't show up at Saturday night's main event. And Seth's like, he's like, maybe if I was there, maybe you guys would be having tag team gold. And Ford's like, oh, that's cute. He's like, but you like to turn on everybody. He's like, you turn on your brothers. He's like, where's your brothers? Your brothers ain't here. I got a nice laugh out of that. And like, you got one brother that's a pompous ass, and then you got another one that's tearing it up in AEW, the top guy in there. So that's where his brothers are. And then we got a video package of El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano. I cannot wait to see that match Saturday. That is going to be spectacular. And then we had Evans backstage. He was talking to Penta. He's like, eventually I'm going to get another match with you. I want another match. And then Ray was backstage. Penta was just gushing over Ray. And then Ethan Page came up. He's like, what are we doing? Handing out title shots here? And then Adam Pearce, he wanted to give Ray a match. And then Russo came in. He's like, what's the matter? Then Ethan Page just turned it right around. He's like, yeah, they're taking your Intercontinental title shot away. They're conspiring against you. So, of course, that's not even close to what it was. And so later, Adam Pearce made Ray versus Rusev, and then that was a good match. Rey Mysterio, he won that match with the 619. Nothing special with that. Then we had a snack break, bathroom break, a hydration break match. We had Bayley, Lyra versus Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. And I didn't know. I thought they fought like another once or twice before that, but my buddy told me that this is the fourth time they're fighting. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, nope. I'm like, lovely. And then Roxanne and Raquel. So basically, this is all I put. Roxanne and Raquel beat Bayley and Lyra. They just start beating them up before the bell even rang. Raquel works over Lyra's shoulder. Lyra was holding her shoulder for about 85% of the match. It was a botch with Raquel and Lyra on the outside. Bayley got the tag. Back suplex to Bayley. Bayley and Lyra win because Dom got up on the apron. He threw the AAA belt in. Lyra and Raquel, they were playing tug of war with it, but Bayley won that, and Bayley and Lyra win. In parentheses, I put this match was terrible. It was very terrible. There was a botch outside with Raquel and Lyra. Lyra was trying to hit her Karana on the outside, but into the ring apron. It was a total mess. Lyra, she couldn't get her legs locked around. I don't know what Raquel was doing. It's women's tag team matches are just, they're painful to watch. They are just, I am insulting the word bad and terrible when I talk about these women tag team matches. Like I don't understand why we're still worried about pushing women's tag team wrestling. It's just a honest joke. And we're getting bad women's tag team matches on Smackdown, Raw, Saturday night's main event that has no business. We got a 60-second match last night on Dynamite between Anna Jay and Ty Conti versus two random females. And I'm like, boring, yuck. And okay, I look when to take notes for that, and then I look up matches over. I'm like, wow, this match was terrible. And I just don't get the structure of why women tag teams is just so god awful now. It's just terrible. Yeah, having no house shows, that doesn't help nobody at all, because if they had house shows, we wouldn't be running into this problem, because come Raw or SmackDown, when we have a Charlotte and Bliss versus Brie and Paige, or a Roxanne and Liv versus Lyra and Bayley, it would be a lot smoother. Fans would see this for the first time, but really it would be like their third time. But that's what happens when you take all the live events away. But enough of the wrestlers were complaining backstage about bringing live events back, so they're bringing live events back for the summer, and they're bringing the live events back for the winter. So hopefully that helps. I have no faith that it will for the women's tag team. Women's tag team is just they're completely dead. I don't know what we're doing with the belts. They debuted them. I forget when because I could care less when. The first women's tag team champions were Bayley and Sasha. That's when they debuted them, and that's when they should have retired them both in the same night because they've been a curse and a waste of time. I just don't know. I mean, people were saying before that they could use the women's tag team belts for they could burn them in a fire for 4th of July or Memorial Day. They can use them as paperweights. You can use them as toilet paper to wipe your ass. That's as much as useful they would be to me. I just don't care for them. Completely useless. Wish I would get rid of them, but they wouldn't because the only reason why they pushed women's wrestling about 2 months ago was, AEW got women's tag team champions. We gotta start getting matches for ours. That's the only why we see women's tag team matches on WWE now. And if anybody else tells you otherwise, they're just kidding you. And that's AEW was the reason why we saw women's tag team women's matches more. Then Roman Reigns was talking to Adam Pearce backstage. Roman says if Fatu wins at Clash in Italy, Fatu will become a servant. And then if Fatu wins, Roman says we are all screwed. We are all screwed. That is the same way I feel watching SmackDown every week. We are all screwed. And then LA Knight was out. I was very shocked to see LA Knight in the ring. Basically, his whole came out to the ring. You're absolutely crazy. I don't know why. We get Fatu in the ring with Roman Reigns for the contract signing. Fatu came out first. He threw all the chairs on the table. He signed the contract. And Roman came out or responded to his music like he normally does. Who gives a rat's ass? And both of them couldn't touch or anything before Clash in Italy. The same old nonsense. And then Fatu he's gonna dog walk Roman Reigns. I kind of wish Fatu remember when he said, "I'm gonna dog walk your ass." That they used to call Roman. They used to call you the big dog. So the big dog is going to get his dog walking papers come Sunday, but they WWE heads we can't bring anything up a Roman's past because God forbid. And then they just shook hands, gripped hands like brothers, forehead to forehead. That was lame as hell. Like, I thought they were going to start making out and they were going to wave Adam Pearce to come down with wood and start a campfire and start singing Kumbaya and campfire songs. Like, you two are supposed to hate each other and you want to kill each other, not shake hands like brothers and forehead to forehead. Like, piss off with that shit. I don't want to see that. Like, well, what are we doing here? Like complete garbage. If the Penta and Javon Evans match wasn't on Raw, this would be almost as bad as SmackDown. But we're not there. We're not there yet. But don't worry, we're getting to SmackDown now. Joy. So this was SmackDown. Rhea Ripley kicked off SmackDown. Rhea Ripley is pissed and itching for a fight. Rhea Ripley throws out the challenge to Jade at Clash in Italy. Charlotte and Bliss come out. Flair wants everyone on the same page for Saturday night's main event. Flair asks Rhea, where were you? Fatal Influence comes out. Excuse me. They are talking about opportunity, and we will take it. Bliss and Flair versus Fatal Influence tonight. MFT's backstage with Kathy Kelly. interviews Solo and Talatanga when Royce Keys talks to Solo. Solo and the MFTs yawn. Bliss said, Flair, you and Ripley are teaming up for your match tonight. And that was pretty funny. And Charlotte's like, "What do you mean teaming up?" Bliss is like, "I'm sick." I thought that was pretty funny. That was that, and I think one other thing was funny on SmackDown, and that was pretty much it. Talatanga and Nakamura. Tala throws Shinsuke into the turnbuckle hard. Tala he had Tala in the corner. They took it to the outside, and Tala throws Shinsuke Nakamura into the barricade. Then he threw him back into the ring. And then Shinsuke Nakamura, he got advantage. He had the triangle choke locked in on Talatanga, but Talatanga, he just picked Nakamura up. He countered with that. Talatanga won the match. Nothing really outstanding with that. Yeah. And then Nick Aldis, he wanted to talk to Cody about Gunther's situation, and then the lights started to flicker for the second time. So halfway through the night, the lights were flickering on and off. I mean, maybe they forgot to pay their electric bill. With SmackDown, you would have never known. And then Cody and Sammy were talking, and then Sammy was just talking. He was just flipping out and everything, just talking shit on Cody, and then Cody comes out and everything. Comes back right up behind him, and then Sammy knew. Sammy's like, "Oh boy," kind of like the, "Oh shit, he's behind me." And then he's like, Cody's like, "No, Nick." He's like, "Sammy's good. He's healthy." He's like, "Sammy's healthy as a horse." Make the match tonight, Nick. So for your main event tonight, it was Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn. And then it was Tiffany versus Lash. Crowd is quiet, very little noise. Chelsea and Green comes down to assist Tiffany. Tiffany wins. She won by roll up. Glad they're still doing something with Tiffany. I hope the direction they go with Tiffany Stratton is Tiffany Stratton versus Blake Monroe. I would love to see that match. Blake Monroe is very, very good. Tamatel Solo. You have to take your priest thing by yourself. So nobody was asking for a second MFTs match. We had Solo Sikoa versus Damian Priest. Yippee. Then Aldis, he went to the room. That's where Danhausen is trying to resurrect the dead. Aldis tells Danhausen, "What are you doing?" Danhausen's like, "Science. Science experiments." And then there was more sparks. And then Danhausen, he poofed away. And then Nick Aldis, he went over to the table where the white sheet is over. And Danhausen says, "Don't touch that." So under the sheet is going to be Baron Corbin. I will be shocked if it is not. Kathy Kelly interviews Mitt and Kit and Phyraxium backstage. I maybe believe on SmackDown this week we'll have Miz and Kit versus Phyraxium. I hope so. I don't know what we're doing with the tag team division. Tag team division on both brands are dead. DEAD, dead. Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes. That was a very good match for SmackDown. These two have so much history together in NXT. just fighting with each other and teaming up with each other down NXT. Trick, he was trying to champ. Basically, he had Carmelo in the corner. He was stomping Carmelo in the corner. Every time that a crowd was chanting, "Whoop that Trick," he was stomping Carmelo. And then Hayes dumps Trick over the rope. He hits a front flip on Trick. Dive, but Little Yachty, he was getting involved a little bit, but nothing. He wasn't getting involved like a cause of disqualification. Just kind of distract Carmelo Hayes a little bit, and then a jumping neck breaker by Trick Williams that looked completely great. And then Carmelo, he hits the first 48 for a close 2 count. Trick takes advantage from the distraction. Hayes, and then Trick hits the trick shot and wins. So you're not going to get a bad match between Trick and Carmelo Hayes. And then Sammy backstage slapping water bottles all over. And then he is talking to Johnny Gargano, who is completely depressed. It's the only thing Johnny Gargano is doing is he is buying his time, waiting his contract to be over with, so he will be no longer employed by WWE. That is what Gargano is doing. And then Carmelo Stage was backstage. He got attacked by Ricky Saints. So I could see them starting to set something up for that, either next week or down the road. And then Rhea and Charlotte versus Fatal Influence. Flair takes the Fatal Influence right from the start. Rhea tags in and slams down Reed. Flair kicks Jane right off the apron. Henley takes advantage. Double choke slam. And then Rhea hits the Riptide, and Flair blind tags in. Natural selection wins because both of them, they were just blind tagging each other left and right, and Flair and Rhea were just trying to get the one up on each other every time. And then Jade and B-Fab and Michin, they run in, attack Flair, Bliss, Rhea. Jay lays out Rhea. And after the match and during that, the crowd was dead. The crowd doesn't care about B-Fab, Michin at all. Everything. Solo hits Priest, and Solo for the superplex off the top rope, and Solo Sikoa got the pinfall on Priest. That's all you have to know about that. And then Kat interviews Jade and B-Fab and Michin, and the only thing I put for that was blah 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 blah. That's the only thing I put for that. And yeah. And then yeah, that's okay. Yep. And then Blake Monroe was back. So this was the other part. Backstage. Blake Monroe is backstage. This is how she appears on SmackDown, just for a half hour. Yeah, half hour. I wish half hour. About 30 seconds worth. She walks backstage to Chelsea Green, and she tells Blake Monroe. Chelsea does. She's like, "Did you see me out there?" And Blake Monroe says, "I wish I didn't." So that was one of the other funny segments of the night. And then Nia just body checked Chelsea Green in the crates. Why? I don't know. You tell me. Then Royce Keys confronts Priest backstage to set up a future match. And then we had Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes. They shook hands before the match. Sami throws Cody into the turnbuckle. They take it to the outside, to the announce table. And Sami takes Cody back into the ring. to maintain control. Sammy worked over Cody's leg. Cody counters. Cody hits a suplex to Sammy. Cody counters on Sammy, only for a 2. Sammy pushed Cody right onto the announce table. From the apron, Cody he went. That was a bad landing for Cody. Cody beat the 10 count. He gets in the ring by a count of 9. Cody hits a super Cody cutter and a 2 count only. I believe if Cody should hit a super Cody cutter, he should be winning the match with it. Blue Thunder Bomb, a close 3. That was like 2.9. But Cody still survives. Sammy locks in a figure 4. Cody counters the figure 4 and hits a disaster kick, and Gunther puts Cody. Cody won the match, but Gunther puts Cody in a sleeper. I guess the referee was trying to look. Haluva kick to Gunther, and then Cody hits a crossroads for the win. Gunther hits the power bomb on Cody and locks in the sleeper again. And Sammy's watching us all play out, and Sammy just walks away from that, and he wants no part of that. And Gunther stood tall with the WWE Championship. And that was SmackDown in a nutshell. So, before I give you my show of the week, this is what happened on AEW. AEW opens with Renee Paquette. This was Double or Nothing. Renee Paquette interviewed Will Ospreay, kind of walking backstage. And he was walking in the trainer's room to ice his arm. And then who's in the trainer's room already? Kenny Omega was in the trainer's room. So with that, I'm like, oh, Kenny and Ospreay. I'm like, that's very interesting. So both of them were talking and everything, and he's like, you could have. Kenny's like, you could have came to me. He's like, you could have came to me for help. I would have helped you. He's like, Kenny, you're not here every week. What are you doing? So basically, AEW told you without them coming out and saying, at All In at Wembley Stadium, it will be Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And that will be him. I guarantee Tony Khan wants to do Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega because it happened in New Japan and he wants to do it here. And then we had TNT champion, the Jet, and Kevin Knight. The Jet, Kevin Knight, his dresses actions at Double or Nothing. Basically, he's like, Darby, you let everybody down. You told them that you were going to beat MJF, and you didn't. So that's why I had to do what I did. And then we had Chris Jericho versus Ricochet. Chris Jericho beat Ricochet. And then Tommaso Ciampa came out and he attacked Jericho. So they're setting up a feud between Jericho and Tommaso Ciampa. I really like that. And then they had a 4-way. We had Roosh. He defeated Leo Rush, Brian Cage, and Orange Cassidy. And then we had Kevin Knight confront MJF backstage, and then Fletcher confronts Knight. And then we had the Brawling Birds promise to come out on top of their matches whenever they start having those. And then we had AEW World Champion MJF. Celebration was cut short by Mark Davis. Not Mark Davis. Mark Briscoe. There's too many Marks in this company. So it looks like he's setting up for Mark Briscoe to challenge MJF again. And then next week, MJF is going to be challenging Roosh. And then we had a Owen Hart Foundation match between Brody King defeating Claudio Castagnoli. That was a very good match. I enjoyed it. I thought Claudio was going to win that, but he didn't. And then we had the new AEW World Tag Team Champions come out, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. They wanted their 5-second pose. Christian's like, I'm not doing that. And then Christian's like, well, there's no flash photography. So Adam Copeland went under the ring. He pulled out a bag, and he dropped out about 20 disposable cameras. And he gave them to all the people around the ringside, and probably anybody that is 20 or 25 and younger, they have no clue how to operate one, maybe. And then we had the dogs run in, Clark Connors and David Finlay. They attacked Copeland and Christian, so that's what they're setting up for. That could be interesting. Then we had a small promo backstage with Swerve Strickland because his next opponent will be Brody King. That is going to be a good match. And then we had this tag team match. Ty Mello and NJ defeated Ava and Alina Ketch. Like I said a little bit earlier, if this match lasted more than 60 seconds, I probably would be shocked. This match had no business being on here. This could have been on Collision. I was talking about it earlier about women's tag teams. Like Ty Mello and Anna Jay. I mean, Anna Jay really. What has Anna Jay done in the past couple months to get anything excited before? And Ty Mello who? I don't know. Ty Mello, the same person that's married to Sammy Guevara, that's been out for forever. I guess it's good to see both of them competing. Anna Jay's been competing more. Good to see Ty Mello back. I guess, sure. Doesn't do a lick for me. Then next week, Speedball Mike Bailey challenges Kevin Knight. And then we had the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament match between Mark Davis and Jack Perry, and Mark Davis won that one. And then after that, Kyle Fletcher confronted the new international champion, Takeshita. And that was Smackdown. I'm getting all my brands mixed up here. That was AEW Dynamite, and then it was the third hour, so it went right into Collision. Then we had Will Ospreay teaming with he was with the Death Riders with Jon Moxley and Pac. He defeated the Rascals. Samoa Joe, he's going to be taking some time off, so he put Hook in charge of the ops because Samoa Joe is going to be filming, I think, another TV show. I think it's Twisted Metal. And then we had Divine Domination took out Ty Mello and that was okay, I guess. Don Callis family, Andrade El Idolo defeated the Bang Bang Gang, Ace Austin, and then the Lights Out street fight. Chris Statlander defeated Sheeta. As a whole, AEW was good. I watched up to the Will Ospreay match on Collision, then after that, I turned it off. So, match of the week, it goes to it goes to AEW. There's no surprise there. It could have been a little better from. It could have continued from where their pay per view left off, but when AEW is done with their pay per view, they always don't hit a home run for their next TV show. It's more like a single or a double, but it's AEW is always on the right track with everything. They just gotta keep going, and hopefully they could just continue to take advantage. Let me get into some other topics here. Some are going to be a little short. Some are other ones I'm going to go into detail. Mask versus mask match this Sunday. El Grande Americano Kaiser versus El Grande Americano Gable. I am very excited to see that match. I will be live for that match because I am looking forward to Gable being on Mask as much as I want them to continue with Gable, but they will continue with Kaiser. Gable has a bigger future than Kaiser does. Gable deserves more than Kaiser. Clash in Italy. So I'll give you my Clash in Italy predictions now. Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu for the World Heavyweight Champion. Can Jacob Fatu win? Jacob Fatu has a chance. Roman Reigns is going to win that. That's how that's going to go. We're going to see chairs, kendo sticks, Slim Jim tables, all the regular basic stuff. And Roman Reigns retains that. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the WWE Championship. A lot of people are saying Gunther. I can't see Gunther. So if they want Gunther to win, so what are they going to do? You're going to have Gunther beat Cody. Then Cody's going to fight for it a little bit, get it back just for SummerSlam. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he fights CM Punk and then Cody will drop the belt to Punk again. I don't want to see that. I'd rather just have Cody retain, and then whatever he's going to do at Night of Champions, he beats that person. And then you can start building Cody versus CM Punk at Night of Champions. Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. Like I said earlier, you can do the Triple H and Batista scenario where Batista won all 3 matches against Triple H. I think a lot of people are picking Brock Lesnar. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to pick Obafemi. Are we going to get 3 matches? Probably get 3 matches. I will be satisfied with 2, unless they give this the trilogy and do a Triple H and Batista finish. I would not be surprised if Brock Lesnar wins. I'm going with Obafemi though. And then we got the women's WWE Champion match, Rhea Ripley versus Jade. Rematch from WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley is going to retain. There's no point of giving the belt back to Jade. And I hope after this they start giving Rhea Ripley a challenger of some sorts. And then we have the women's Intercontinental title match, Becky Lynch versus Sol Ruca. I would love to see Sol Ruca. I'm a big Sol Ruca fan. I think Becky Lynch is going to retain because it doesn't make sense to have Sol Ruca win the Intercontinental Championship when Sol Ruca does not have no wins in WWE so far. So that's Clash in Italy. And I'm going to talk about Adam Copeland here for a little bit. He was talking about before how he's he's thinking about retirement this year. He got asked before, and Adam Copeland says that Edge / Adam Copeland says his second retirement may be approaching, as Adam Copeland opened up about the condition of his body and health. And he said, "My body is just giving up. It cracks way too much, and arthritis is my best friend. I believe by the end of this year that Adam Copeland will retire this year." And I mean, that's what it is. When you hit a certain age, arthritis, you get up, it's snap, crackle, pop. Kind of sucks, but he's had a good run. He's doing great in AEW. And that's all for that. And this was just today. It was kind of caught me off guard here. Josh Henning, the former Curtis Axel, was arrested for DWI. Court records show that former WWE talent Josh Henning, Curtis Axel, was arrested after he was driving while intoxicated in Minnesota. Below are the charges he was hit with. So a traffic DUI, third-degree driver while impaired, reference to submit a chemical test. Traffic DWI refuses to submit a chemical test, breath or test, referral to or failure. Observant legal process, lawful extraction legal process, traffic open bottle law, possession crime. Described traffic accidents, driver involving fails to stop or accident to properly no injury. So Henning was arrested on May 17th and released on May 19th. Yeah, so he'll be going to court for that. That's five tickets against him. Yeah, that's not fun stuff. So that was with that. And the most important thing with that is no drinking and driving at all. Yeah, and this one right here, I think I covered it in 3, but I don't remember, but we'll cover it again anyway. TKO's Mark Shapiro admits back-to-back Las Vegas WrestleManias may have been a mistake. Yeah, you don't say they were a mistake. No kidding, they were a mistake. What gave him the first clue on that? That was the Curtis Axel. This one. This one is pretty funny. So this time frame would have happened during the Thunderdome COVID area. So we had WWE's thinking of a new NWO. A new NWO during the Thunderdome era. And these are the members that were pitched for the new NWO. So the pitch was Sheamus, Cesaro, Nakamura, and Lars Sullivan. It was really close to happening, he added. I forgot which legendary NWO member was supposed to fly to Orlando to introduce this new NWO. They landed, and they didn't pass the COVID test. So it was a former writer from WWE that I guess had this idea for a new NWO. I'm glad that this did not happen because I couldn't see this getting off the ground. A new NWO that was something. Speaking of NWO, yesterday, Wednesday, marked 30 years ago since Scott Hall invaded WCW and said, "You want a war? You're going to get a war." And that was the start of the Monday Night Wars between WWE and WCW. And that was very, very cool. What else we got here? So we got Vince McMahon. We have Vince McMahon, WWE, and Nick Khan deleting old text messages. This was a while ago, but it's just all hilarious for anytime you hear WWE or Nick Khan or Vince McMahon in legal trouble. So the WWE's attorney agreed McMahon produced 22,000 messages across multiple platforms to investors. However, the signal data could not be retrieved until October 2025 when devices that had been seized by federal authorities, investigation, and misconduct allegements were returned. The options also highlighted that during the merger discussions, Khan messaged McMahon with his signal word, Langus. When McMahon asked what it meant, Khan replied, "Read it backwards." Laster noted that the record reveals extensive backlog. So they were just, it was just a whole bunch of text messages, back messages, and all that stuff of just everything between Vince's stuff, the sexual scandal with all that stuff, and just all the information and everything, and just the whole grant stuff. Shareholders aligned McMahon manipulated the merger process to secure personal control of the company. Rejection, higher completed offers to favor a deal with long-term friend Ariel Manuel, CEO and Endeavor Group holds. The 2023 merger valued WWE at $21.4 billion. Combine it with the UFC under TKO Holdings umbrella. If you want to read the full 40 pages, they got the full 40 pages on there. It's on Wrestling News. I'm not going to read the whole 40 pages because I don't give a rat's ass about Nick Khan, and I give a lesser shit about the old man. Yeah, so, and that was that. And one other quick and final notes here that WWE is in talk with Santino Marella for Clash in Italy. The idea is being pitched to him. It's for him to come back to Clash in Italy. It'll just be a one-off. I certainly hope so. That would be fantastic. He would, if they could somehow pull that off, even just a comedy skit with Danhausen and Santino Marella, and you get the Cobra involved. A lot of people like, oh, that'd be corny, that'd be cheesy, that'd be stupid. It would be funny. 5-10 minutes at bet. You're getting 5 matches. You're getting 2 on ESPN. You're getting 3. It's fine. It's not going to hurt nothing. If Santino does come back, he'll get the pop of the night, guaranteed. The crowd loves Santino. I love I'm a big Santino fan. He's just great. That's all I have for you today. Be back next week for episode 5. I can't believe we're already up to episode 5 already. Please share this out to everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, everywhere you can. And thank you. We can't do it without you guys. And I will see you guys back here on Retro Ringside Rewind for episode 5 next week. Until then, take care, guys.